Did you know the Queen of Soul held grudges that lasted decades? She performed for royalty and received the highest honors, but behind the spotlight, there were names she simply couldn't stand. Want to know who made the cut? And why? This story takes you behind the scenes of fame and feuds. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Number 1, Beyonce. Could two queens of music ever really get along? Not in this case. By the time Beyonce was rising as a powerhouse performer and modern icon, Aretha Franklin was already established as music royalty. In 2008, Beyonce took the Grammy stage to salute Franklin during a tribute performance, calling her one of the greatest voices of all time. But what should have been a moment of mutual admiration became something else entirely, and Franklin noticed every detail. The tension escalated when Beyonce, during the same ceremony, referred to Tina Turner as the Queen. To some, it seemed an innocent compliment, but Aretha reportedly felt disrespected, seeing it as a dismissal of her own title as the Queen of Soul. She later addressed the comment in her trademark fashion, sharply yet composed, stating, "There is only one queen." Number 2, Ray Charles. Sometimes even legends can clash. And for Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin, it wasn't just about the music. Ray Charles was a pioneer of soul, blending gospel, blues, and jazz into something uniquely his own. He entered the spotlight years before Franklin, helping define a genre she would later dominate. But while the two shared a groundbreaking influence in music, their paths weren't always harmonious. Charles wasn't shy about sharing his views, and one of his most talked about remarks concerned Franklin's singing style. He described her voice as overdone at times, suggesting she added embellishments that distracted from the raw emotion of a song. And that wasn't all. He also called her ego bigger than her talent, comments that hit headlines and struck a nerve with Franklin's fans. Number 3, Luther Vandross. From collaborators to rivals, what went wrong between Aretha Franklin and Luther Vandross? In 1982, Franklin teamed up with Vandross on her album Jump to It. At first glance, it seemed like the perfect match. Franklin, a legend looking to refresh her sound, and Vandross, a rising star in production. But as soon as the recording began, the cracks started to show. Franklin was known for her strong-willed approach, often taking control of her projects down to the smallest detail. Vandross, however, had his own vision for the album, and that's where things got complicated. Reports from the studio describe an uneasy atmosphere, with creative disagreements flaring up over song arrangements and the album's overall tone. Franklin wasn't convinced Vandross fully grasped her style, and Vandross in turn grew frustrated with her unyielding input. Despite the tensions, Jump to It became a commercial success, proving both artists' talents. But for Franklin, the behind-the-scenes challenges overshadowed the achievement. The two never worked together again, and while neither spoke openly about the feud, the lack of future collaborations said enough. What could have been a lasting partnership ended after one contentious album. Number 4, Keith Richards. What happens when the Queen of Soul meets the bad boy of rock? Sparks fly. Keith Richards has always been known for his bluntness, and over the decades, his unapologetic opinions have ruffled feathers across the music world. So it didn't come as a complete shock when Richards turned his sharp tongue on Aretha Franklin. During an interview, he referred to Franklin as too diva-like, a loaded comment that raised eyebrows. For Franklin, being called a diva wasn't unusual. Still, Richards' tone seemed to critique more than her presence. As the Queen of Soul, Franklin had built a legacy anchored in her professionalism and undeniable talent. She wasn't about to let someone like Richards, with his rock rebel image, question that. Franklin was quick with a response, emphasizing that her work ethic had earned her success, not diva behavior. The clash became a short but intense public battle, with Richards doubling down on his criticism and Franklin standing firm. In the end, she dismissed his remarks as stemming from jealousy and brushed off the episode gracefully. But clashes like this prove Franklin never tolerated disrespect, no matter who it came from. Was Richards trying to provoke her or simply out of his depth? Number 5, Dionne Warwick. Family ties couldn't prevent this feud from making headlines. Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick shared a unique bond as both distant cousins and legendary voices of soul. While they often seemed to move in similar circles, their relationship revealed its fractures in 2017 when a private misunderstanding became deeply public. Franklin, absent from Whitney Houston's funeral back in 2012, found herself at the center of controversy 5 years later when Warwick made comments she strongly disagreed with. Warwick reportedly claimed Aretha had been Houston's godmother, a statement Franklin refuted, calling it completely untrue. For Aretha, this wasn't a minor mistake to brush off, but something that needed correcting. Franklin took the rare step of issuing a formal press release, firmly setting the record straight and accusing Warwick of distributing misinformation. It wasn't just about the statement itself. Franklin believed in the truth, and letting inaccuracies slide wasn't in her nature. By publicly addressing the issue, she made it clear that no matter their shared history, respect and honesty came first. And when asked about reconciliation, Franklin refused, stating she preferred to simply move on. But the next name on her list, that one might surprise you: Eminem. Number 6, Eminem. What could spark a feud between the Queen of Soul and the King of Rap? Eminem built his career on raw, unfiltered lyrics that often courted controversy. Franklin, however, came from a completely different school of thought. With roots deeply grounded in gospel music, she believed artists had a responsibility to inspire and uplift. Her music carried messages of hope, justice, and empowerment, reflecting her belief that art could create positive change. When it came to explicit themes, like those found in Eminem's music, Franklin took issue. She criticized the increasing boldness of explicit lyrics in the industry, believing they detracted from the deeper purpose of music. Though she didn't call out Eminem directly, her stance on art's role in society was clear. It wasn't just about profanity, it was about a philosophy. Franklin saw music as a force to unify and uplift, while Eminem used it to provoke and confront. This clash of ideals highlighted their opposing approaches to artistry. For Franklin, music had a higher calling. For Eminem, it was unrestricted self-expression. Their divide raised questions others were left to answer. Can art be both boundary-pushing and uplifting? Number 7, Billy Joel. They shared a love for music, but not much else. Billy Joel, a celebrated pop icon of the 1980s, openly admired Aretha Franklin's unmatched talent. He even referred to her as one of his greatest influences, a sentiment many might have assumed would be mutual. But behind the scenes, there were whispers that Franklin didn't see Joel in the same light. During the height of Joel's success, there were rumors that Franklin felt overshadowed by his rapid rise and massive commercial appeal. While Franklin deeply valued musical authenticity, she reportedly took issue with what she saw as the overly polished, pop-centric style that defined Joel's songwriting. Though she didn't often direct her critiques by name, Franklin was known to comment on the importance of soulfulness in music, believing some contemporary pop artists sacrifice depth for broader appeal. Whether consciously or not, her remarks were thought to reflect her unease with Joel's stature. Franklin's pride in soul, a genre rooted in emotion and struggle, may have shaped her critical view of Joel's work, reinforcing her belief that the heart of a song mattered above all else. Aretha Franklin's feuds weren't driven by petty bitterness. They were rooted in her fierce dedication to her craft and the unyielding standards she set for herself. Whether confronting public criticism or a clash of creative visions, she was unapologetically protective of her legacy as the Queen of Soul. These moments weren't just conflicts, they were reflections of the immense pressure and pride that came with her throne. Her career, spanning over 5 decades and 38 studio albums, proved her unshakable influence in music. So what do these feuds say about artistry and legacy? Let us know your thoughts and stay tuned for more untold stories.